welcome back to my Astro Imaging Journey channel. Apologies for the past couple weeks. I've been a little MIA. Had some major projects here at the house, like including putting a new roof on. So it's been a little hectic. Haven't had time to do any videos, but we are back at it. As you can see in the bottom corner, it is November 11th. Happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans out there. It's also the Mercury transit. Mercury transit was this morning. What we have here on the screen is a screenshot from last night. I decided to set up all my gear last night and test it with some moonshots. It was about 98% illuminated, so figured I'd get a bunch of shots, see if I can stack them, and that's going to be the focus of this video, is going through and stacking them to make hopefully a high-res clean image of a 98% moon. So let me get at it. So as you can see, I was using backyard EOS. I just let the mount track, had a little bit of drift, could have been a little bit out of balance. That's okay. We'll be able to work with that. The camera that was used was a Canon T7i with a Kenko 2x teleconverter with a Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter telephoto lens, and this is stretched out to 600 millimeter. So rough math. Let's do some quick math here. What would that be effective? So we are at 600 millimeters times 2 for the teleconverter, and then times 1.6 for the crop sensor. We have an effective 1920 on the focal length. So fills the frame pretty good. The moon does. So what we ended up doing was taking about 200 shots, and a couple of them I had to throw out. And as you can see here, all I did was I took those raw files, put them in the Lightroom, and then what you call it there, equipment calibration. You know, basically removes the distortion of the lenses and all that. So just a small adjustment to the exposure slider and the equipment calibration, and then I exported them as TIFFs to give me the best data possible to work with when I stack these, as opposed to JPEGs. And from there we will go over to PIP. Nice little alignment program. As you also see here, we have Auto Stacker and Registax. Now, in previous attempts to do something like this, Registax had a problem actually aligning these large files. So what we're going to be using these in succession for is PIP will align and crop the images and then give us the best, however many we choose, let's say 80 for a nice round number, and then they will get saved into a directory, and then we will bring them into Auto Stacker to then actually do the stacking and get a stacked image, and then we will go back over to Registax to do the stretching and sharpening. I saw this tutorial, I can't remember where. I believe the man's name was Rami, was his first name. saw his YouTube video a while back and have used this a couple times, and it works pretty well. Like I said, Registax, it's from 2011. Works great on lower res, smaller size images, but for these larger DSLR converted files, it's just a little bit too much for it. Not exactly sure why, but we will work with what we have. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? So let's go ahead and do our source files. There's two ways. We can either, let me close this, we can either come down here to add image files. Apologies if you can hear the dogs barking upstairs. Somebody is outside. So, let me go see if I can quiet them down. 1 second. All right. Didn't exactly quiet them down, but they are now out in the dog run. Apparently there was a deer out there. So, the joy of owning dogs. So, let's get back to this. So we have two ways we can do this. We can either select one image, select all the images and then drag and drop them to our workspace here, or we can do add files. Since I normally don't have the File Explorer windows open, my preferred method, since that's what I normally do and its habit, is to click the Add Image Files button and then come into the directory and select all the files there. And then now we come up with this nice little preview. As you can see, frame number 1 of 198. And we also want to click this little checkbox here, Solar Lunar Full Disk. Should turn it real quick here. Oh, maybe not. Thought it covered that, but that's okay. So the next thing we're going to come over to is our processing options. We do not want to convert to monochrome, so we want to uncheck that. We do want to enable cropping. So if we come over here, our moon is between 1600 and 2000. So we will go with the low end of the 1600. And it's between 4400 and 4800. So we go 48 minus 16 is 3200. And just to be safe, we're underneath 400 here. We're right about 3200 there, so we're going to just go ahead and do 3200 by 3200. That will crop in 3200 pixels wide, 3200 pixels tall, which every image then should be centered around the moon. And we're just going to step through. Quality limiting. You know, we have scene and haze and other things that may play a factor. So as much as I would love to use all 198, let's reduce that down to a little less than half and go with 90. I like to keep the brightness algorithm And let's go over here to output options. I'm going to keep it with TIFF. Keep my output directory as the source file directory. Create a new subdirectory. Aligned. And that should work for us. And we'll come over here to do processing. And let's start processing. So this is going to take a few minutes. All right, and we are done. As you can see, sorted 90 frames by total brightness. We can actually go ahead and close this out. We're now done with that. Let's go back over here. You can see it created our new folder. And inside that folder, it has all of the cropped and aligned, cropped anyways, moon, 90 of 90 moon photos. I cannot talk today. And if we open one up, just go ahead and open that up in photo viewer. And you can see it's a 3200 by 3200, nice and tight. That removes a lot of the extra black space that we just don't need to have. We can add black space later on in Photoshop or something if we want to. So now let's go over here to Auto Stacker. Now once again, I could drag and drop, or my preferred option is to click open and navigate to the directory. Just make sure I'm in the right one. Yep. Go over here. Select our image files. And as you can see, it's all zoomed in. We'll just drag this little zoom slider so we can see everything. That's a little much. Okay, so now our alignment points, if we say place AP grid, you can see the whole moon's pretty much covered. If we look at the size of the alignment points, you can see the little red dots are the alignment points. If we go down to a 24 and we do place again, we end up with 35,500 alignment points, which is overkill. I've found that 104 does a pretty good job. From the selector here, we can always adjust that if we wanted to do more or less that was outside of these defaults. But the 104 seems to do pretty well. So let's go back to that. And we don't need to analyze because we're already, cropped in and everything. It should be pretty good. Frame percentage to stack, You know, we could go to 100%, but we'll leave it at 80%. And if I'm remembering correctly, all I should have to do now is hit stack. This will take a few minutes. And while that's running, one thing with PIP, if we go back over here to details, expand out, we were looking at the brightness quality. As you can see, one is at 100%, and the lowest is 99.07. So pretty consistent across those 90 images. So let's go back and let this finish. Okay, that is completed. Let's just go back over to our directory. Went back up one directory, and as you can see, we have ASP80. And there is our stacked image. Looks pretty close to the other one, a little bit more detail. So we'll close that out. We can go ahead and close out our auto stacker. And now we'll open up Registacks. We'll go into our auto stacker directory. And we'll open up that TIFF file. Wait for a little circle to disappear. Alright, so now let's do show full image. We're going to go over here to histogram in the functions. I just want to drag this over. I don't want to bring this all the way over here, but I do want to leave some black points. Pretty well centered here, so we'll hit stretch. That's completed. You can see our preview box here. Definitely brings out more detail. We can reduce the size of that, but for now I'm just going to leave it right where it is. Now I'm going to play with our wavelets. I just want to add just a little bit of sharpening at each one. Letting it complete, take a look. I don't want to get too aggressive, because I can over sharpen and really make things look worse. It's all based on personal preference and experience. I really like how these dark valleys here are really starting to pop in. And last one. All right. So all we really did was preview this window right here in the center. We're going to come up here and do all. You'll start to see it go through and adjust the whole image. All right, that is 100% done. So now we're going to save. And now we're just going to rename this. Now the TIFF here, I don't know if it's the encoder or what, but something about TIFF and Registax just does not work well with Lightroom. So I'm going to do a PNG. As well as a JPEG. If I go back over here, I should have a JPEG and a PNG. So now I'm going to close this out. I'm going to open up Lightroom. All right, now we've got Lightroom open. Let's go ahead and do an import. There are our two files. I want to work with the PNG, but let's see what the JPEG also brings up. And I just unchecked that original TIFF. Let's go over to develop. Our PNG is selected. And this is where we can play with a few things. Now, if I really wanted to, I could bring out some extra details. I kind of liking what was there. Really sharpen this up even more. I don't want to go too aggressive. As much as this, in this little image, it looks really good, but I don't want to go that aggressive. And I think that's where I'm going to keep it. Brought out a little bit of color. But it's still the traditional bright moon that we see up in the sky. And one thing we can do, I just want to rotate it around. See which one kind of pleasing to the eye, and it's kind of that one. If I flip vertical, yeah, kind of like that right where it's at. So we will take this, we will export that. And specific photo, let's see, choose. Yeah, that'll be fine. And we'll save it as a TIFF. Yep, that'll work. And also a JPEG. Then we come back over here, and we should have them all the way down here at the bottom. And there she is. Might have over sharpened just a little bit. I kind of like it the way it is, so we'll leave it like that. Yeah, I like it like that. So, you know, just a quick little, you know, what I do to stack some moonshots, and that's all. So, I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you all got out there to see the Mercury transit. I know I did. Got some shots. I'm going to be working on that video next. You know, if you did get to see the Mercury transit and you had your own equipment, you know, I hope you took some video or images, you know, and it's not going to happen again until 2032, and I don't think it's going to be visible from at least the east coast of the U.S. So, you know, this was my only shot to try to get something, and I think I managed to get some. So we'll see what happens when I go to process those. I haven't done anything with those other than put them into a folder. So with that, I'm going to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Stick around for the outro. Clear skies.
Thanks for watching yet another episode from the Astro Imaging Journey channel. Really appreciate your viewership. In our upper right, we have the latest video that I have posted prior to this one. Down in the lower right, we have what YouTube thinks you will enjoy. Below is a subscription link. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you so choose, ring that bell if you want to get notified of something new, and as always, thank you, clear skies. Remember to